Good evening and welcome to the Business Day. I'm Javon Keys. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has downgraded its growth outlook for Jamaica marginally. The entity has, however, upgraded its outlook for the region and the world. In its latest economic outlook released Tuesday morning, the local economy is set to grow by 2% by the end of 2023. In its outlook earlier this year, the IMF projected growth of 2.2%. The International Monetary Fund also projected slower growth for 2024 at 1.8%, a 0.2% downward revision. The forecast for 2028 remains at 1.6%. The IMF's forecast comes days after the World Bank upgraded its outlook for Jamaica, with expected growth for this year at 2.3%. Meanwhile, for the Latin America and Caribbean region, the IMF has upgraded its GDP outlook to 2.3% growth. In April, the projection for this year was 1.6%. The IMF says the region's GDP will also grow by 2.3% next year, reflecting a 0.1% improvement in the outlook. For 2028, the growth forecast is 2.5%. Up from the 2.3% programmed in April this year. The World Bank also upgraded the region's GDP outlook in its forecast last week. The IMF projects a 0.2% improvement in global growth for 2023 compared to its earlier forecast. Pierre-Olivier Gorinchas is the chief economist at the IMF.
Growth will slow from 3.5% last year to 3% this year and 2.9% next year, a 0.1 percentage point downgrade for 2024. This remains well below historical averages. Important divergences are appearing. The slowdown is more pronounced in advanced economies than in emerging markets and developing economies. Among advanced economies, the US has been revised up with resilient consumption and investment, while the euro area has been revised down as tighter monetary policy and the energy crisis took a toll.
The IMF also has a more favorable outlook on inflation.
Headline inflation continues to decelerate. Core inflation, excluding food and energy prices, is also projected to decline, but more gradually. However, all in all, most countries are not expected to return to inflation target until 2025. Taken together, our projections are increasingly consistent with a soft landing scenario, bringing inflation down without a major downturn in activity.
Philip Ramson has been elected the new president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, for the period 2023 to 2024. He replaces Michael McMorris. Mr. Ramson is the managing director of Chaz E. Ramson, and his executive includes First Vice President Emile Leiber, who is the managing director of Duncox Attorneys, and his second vice president, Peter Graham, managing director of IGL Jamaica, and there were two other vice presidents and a number of other executive members elected recently. And let's head to some news from ICreate. It has resumed trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE. The JSE says it has lifted the suspension of trading in the ordinary shares of the company as it has appointed a mentor as required by the JSE's junior market rules. ICreate has appointed Colando Hutchinson as its junior market mentor, and he will serve as a compliance advisor to the company's board of directors. And to the foreign currency market now, the Jamaican dollar lost 30 cents to the greenback at the close of trading on Tuesday. $1 US is being sold for $155.79 on average. The Canadian dollar is being sold for $115.06 on average. The average cost for the pound is $189.54, while it's costing $166.82 for the euro. And finally, the JSE index lost 1,262 points today, while the junior market index lost 18 points. The 43 winners were led by Margaritaville Turks US dollar shares, Jetcon Corporation, Paramount Trading Jamaica, Kingston Properties, and Wisynco Group. The 44 losers included ICreate, CAC 2000, ISP Finance Services, MPC Caribbean Clean Energy, and MFS Capital Partners. 18 stocks closed the session at the same price they started trading on Tuesday. And that's it for the Business Day. I'm Javon Keys. Good evening.